What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Variety Views. I'm your host, the Variety Vendor. Yes, I got a lot of videos going on today, and had to watch so many things just to come up with these fucking videos. Okay, so In Your House, Bad Blood, 2 decades in. Fuck. This show was a monumental show, and like most shows that happened in '97, and that's the main reason why I decided to do this series. I was like, yeah, I better do this now because I can't find any more of an appropriate time. And thank God I've met the deadline, and today is October 5th. Um, this show took place in St. Louis, Missouri, in the Kiel Center. Had 21,000 in attendance, and this was sponsored by PlayStation when PlayStation was at its highest. Although it did gain some huge traction once it went on to PS2. But this was like, I do feel like this was the golden era of the PlayStation when you had all these amazing games back then, like fucking Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill and Resident Evil 2. But enough of that. Okay, let's get to the show. We start off with Nation of Domination going up against the Legion of Doom in a handicap match. Apparently, I think Ahmed Johnson was supposed to be in this match, but he got injured, couldn't make it to this match. So Legion of Doom was like, "Fuck it, we'll just face the Nation of Domination." But the Nation won, and it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable match, and nothing too special. But I do think that it could have been better if you had a 3-on-3, or you had maybe like a 2-on-2. It would have been better. But it was a throwaway match. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think it needed to be on the pay-per-view. As a matter of fact, if you took it away, it wouldn't have affected the pay-per-view score. If anything, I think the pay-per-view would have been better. Then we have Max Mini going up. Max Mini and Nova defeating Mosiak and Tarantula. This was a minis match. I always enjoy the minis matches, even though sometimes it does kind of get boring. 5 minutes. This went for 5 minutes, but it felt like a long ass time. Max Mini getting destroyed. That's the thing that you will always expect whenever you see a Max Mini match. Great moves, then gets destroyed. Great moves, gets destroyed. Then he gets the win at the end. But one of the things I really hate about the mini matches, especially luchador mini matches, is the fact that you always see different variations of arm drags, arm drag, until by the end you're like, oh fuck, if I never see an arm drag ever again, it would be too soon. So there you go. There we have then the Godwins going up against the Headbangers. Uncle Cletus, who was managing the Godwins at the time, he helped them win at the end. I do believe he used his lucky horseshoe at the time. And the weird thing enough is that he wasn't like that old, but the dude looked like he was 50, And I remember he used to be TL Hopper back in '95. And he was the plumber basically, and I don't know, maybe that was a rib on Dusty Rhodes. I don't know. I feel like it could have been. That the fact that he was a plumber, that was a time where everybody had to have a second job. You had Duke the Dumpster Drosy, you had the Godwins, you had the plumber, you had a teacher, you had all of those. But I remember T.L. Hopper was one of the more disgusting type of characters where he would like eat shit and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right for you because shoot wise, that it's a Snickers bar, but to the casual viewer, is like, is he eating a deuce? So the Godwins defeat the Headbangers. Nothing too special there, and they win the tag titles. And yeah, nothing much more to say here. Although it's like, I really still don't get why they gave the titles to the Headbangers. Yeah, you had that feel good moment the previous month, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you don't really do anything with them. You know, you could have let them have like a longer title reign because they were fan favorites. Now, after I do believe that after this match is when everybody realized that Brian Pillman passed away, and the news just got in, and because in this pay-per-view, Brian Pillman was supposed to face Goldust, and the whole idea was if Goldust won, he would get Marlena back, because this would have been like the end of the 30-day clause of, you know, Marlena being in Brian Pillman's side. Now, judging from the shoot interview that Marlena did, and some of the reports that I read at the time, I do think that the story was supposed to be Marlena turning on Goldust and her aligning herself with Pillman. That could have been it. But at the same time, there was also from Bruce Pritchard's side of things, he did say at one point that Goldust was supposed to have like a second wedding with Marlena the next night on Raw. So maybe he would have won here, and then the next night Marlena would have turned on Goldust, because as we all know, marriages in wrestling don't always work out. So, you know, a marriage ceremony, there's bound for something to happen. The only one that nothing happened during the marriage ceremony is Savage and Liz. But even like the reception afterwards, that something happened. So there you go. It's very saddening that this is really the 20-year anniversary of Brian Pillman's death, and some people say that he died because of an overdose, and some people say that he just died in his sleep, like it was just a freak accident, and it's just, you know what, either way, rest in peace, Brian Pillman. He was a great wrestler, a great character. He was awesome on the mic. I do think that some people tend to overrate him a little bit, but then again, I haven't seen much of Pillman. I've seen some of his stuff in ECW, and the stuff that, you know, that people just, you know, hold it in high praise. But I just remember him for being the great wrestler, the great Flying Brian. You know, he was such a great wrestler, him and Steve Austin in the Hollywood Blondes, but I never thought of him more than a great wrestler. Like, I remember he was a great character. He had the great crazy eyes. He had the great gimmick, but I never thought of him being like something more than, you know, a mid-carder. He would have been just a solid mid-carder. I think if he would been alive to this day, he would have made a name for himself as a great mid-carder. Nothing more. I never thought that he would have been like a world champion in any federation. So, yeah. Rest in peace, Brian Pillman. So after that, we got Owen Hart defeating Farouk with the help of Stone Cold. Now this made sense. Okay, this made sense that Owen going over Farouk, and even like they asked Stone Cold. And it made absolute sense that Austin, once he comes back, he has he does have a return match against Owen, although that wasn't really mentioned. It was mentioned during a promo with Austin and Vince, where he said, like, I want, you know, Owen, like, if you want me to sign on a contract that says, like, WWE is not responsible to whatever happens to Stone Cold, then you need to put me in a match against Owen for the Intercontinental title. The first time I get, in the first match that I return in, and Vince obliged. Even though that if you lose the Intercontinental title, it's an ironclad that you get a rematch for whatever championship there is. So it made sense that Austin would let Owen win because he wants to get his revenge on Owen, and not just that, but get the Intercontinental title as well, the title that he never lost. So it made sense. As for the match itself, it was boring. It was boring as fuck. Like I didn't care much for this match. This was one of the weaker Owen matches, and this was the weakest tournament that you will ever see, because look at the brackets, okay? Pillman defeated Dude Love via DQ. Owen defeated Goldust via DQ. And then Farouk, defeated Ken Shamrock. That was all right because of ref stoppage. I remember because Shamrock was bleeding. Ahmed Johnson defeated Rocky Maivia, clean via pinfall. Then Farouk defeated Ahmed Johnson via DQ. Then you had Owen Hart defeat Pillman via DQ, and then you have Owen Hart beat Farouk, because of Austin's interference. This was the weakest tournament ever booked. Not just in WWE, but ever. And I remember bad tournaments. I remember bad King of the Rings. Fuck, this makes King of the Ring 95 look like fucking G1. So, there you go. Let's see. After that, we have the Disciples of Apocalypse, 8-Ball, Chains, and Crush and Skull, defeating Los Boricuas. I do believe this is the last time we get to see Crush in a pay-per-view. I think so. I'm not sure. Because I do believe that he left the WWE not too long after. They defeated them, and yeah, it was a nothing match. It was fucking Disciples of Apocalypse going up against Los Boricuas. It's just boring as fuck, dude. Like I got so sick of seeing them having combinations of matches. It's just like, all right, okay, let's move forward. Then we have Bulldog and Bret Hart defeating the Patriot and Vader in a flag match. This was good. This was good. You felt a sense of urgency going on here with Bret and Bulldog going for the flags, and it made a lot of sense. But at the same time, there were a lot of dull moments in this match where at any point they could have gone for the flags, but at the same time, there was good psychology. But still, there's a lot of boring moments in this match. It's just like, and Bret and Bulldog kind of felt like baby faces in here, which was weird because they're not in Canada. They're not, out of the States for them to be playing such baby faces, because it felt like they were baby faces. And Patriot was on his way to becoming like a one of those guys that you just like, ugh, I don't even know why he's the babyface. Should I really be cheering for him? And Vader is fucking cool. He always was cool, even when he was a heel. And here he's a face, but, he still had some tendencies of being a heel, but he was cool. You just liked him. Bulldog and Bret won at the end, capturing the flags in an alright match. It was alright. It wasn't blow away. Now we have Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker, and this has been regarded as being the greatest Hell in a Cell match ever. I do not agree. I do not agree at all. Now, seeing it back, I do enjoy it better than I did before. Before, I remember watching and I'm like, fuck, this is like a squash match, with the Undertaker beating the shit out of Shawn Michaels, and at the end, Kane debuting, and this is like the 20-year anniversary of Kane. Great, cool. I like those aspects. There were some gruesome spots in this match, but at the same time, I would say this is kind of like Ambrose and Rollins from the match that they had 3 years ago in Hell in a Cell, because this should have been their feud ender, the match that would end their feud, and we would see Shawn Michaels, finally get his comeuppance, and the babyface going over. That's it. That's all you needed to do. But what did they do? No, we are gonna have Shawn Michaels go over the Undertaker, and we're gonna debut Kane. Now, looking back, with everything that happened, and watching it again, I did enjoy it more. And I did like the spots more. And I do think that Shawn Michaels got more of his comeuppance, and I did feel like Undertaker looked like a unstoppable force, and Kane looked like the guy that is like that swept away the WWE with one fell swoop. You know, basically, which kind of that sentence that right there sounded so redundant. He basically he changed everything. You know, just by showing up. Shawn Michaels winning at the end. I kind of see that it kind of made sense because they wanted Shawn Michaels go up against Bret Hart afterwards. Okay, you wanted a new challenger for Bret because Bret pretty much ran through the entire roster. So, of course, you're going to have Shawn Michaels. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, you could have done so many other things. Yes, Austin was on the rise, but maybe I'll say that for a different video where I'm like, you know, they could have done something better for the Survivor Series, and hey, they could have even avoided the screw job. So, yeah, Shawn Michaels defeating the Undertaker with help of Kane, and a lot of people give it 5 stars. I wouldn't even give it that, not even close. 4 stars. I think it deserves 4 stars. It was great. There were a lot of enjoyable moments in this match, but I feel like there could have been something more to it, rather than Undertaker beating the crap out of Shawn Michaels. So, yeah. With that being said, rate, comment, favorite, how, please subscribe. My rating for this pay-per-view, I would give it a rent. It doesn't even... I don't think it really deserves to be bought. Like, if you're going to watch it once, fine. Even with the monumental things, the first ever Hell in a Cell match, and the fact it is the debut of Kane, and it was, I do believe that was the pay-per-view, like that was the pay-per-view that everybody remembers, where, you know, it was on the day that Pillman died. All of that, take that all into perspective. Still, I think that this was a throwaway pay-per-view. I wouldn't give it like a higher rating. Watch it once and yeah, forget about it. And with that being said, like I said before, rate, comment, favorite, help, please subscribe, and check out my next video. I'll be talking about something else.